Internment promises to be one of 2019's most politically urgent reads. Read an excerpt. Fresh off her New York Times best-selling debut, Love, Hate and Other Filters, Samira Ahmed is headed into more politically intense territory with her next book, Internment. A story of hope and resistance aimed at young audiences, Internment gets at the heart of the terrifying state of our politics. Set in a horrifying 15 minutes in the future United States, the book follows 17-year-old Layla Amin as she is forced into an internment camp for Muslim Americans along with her parents. With the help of newly made friends also trapped in the camp, her boyfriend on the outside, and an unexpected alliance, Layla begins a journey to fight for freedom, leading a revolution against the internment camp's director and his guards. Internment questions the imaginary boundaries that separate us, and challenges readers to fight the complicit silence that exists in our society today. Ahmed, a University of Chicago graduate who was born in Bombay, now Mumbai, India, has exclusively shared a powerful excerpt of Internment with you, as well as the book's official cover. Read on below, and look out for the book when it hits the shelves next year, on March 7th. I strained to listen for boots on the pavement. Stomping. Marching. But there's nothing. Only the familiar sounds of crickets and the occasional sound of a car in the distance and a rustle so faint, I can't tell if it's the wind or the anxious huff of my breath. But everywhere, it's the same as it's always been. The perfectly manicured lawn of Center Square, the gazebo's twinkling fairy lights, the yellow beams from the porch lamps at every door. In the distance, I see a funnel of smoke rising into the air. Most of the town is at the book burning, so I should be safe. Or, at least, safer. It's been 6 months since the exclusion laws were passed. I don't measure time by the old calendar anymore, I don't look at the date. There is only then and now. There is only what we once were and what we have become. 2.5 years since the election. 2 years since the Nazis marched on D.C. 18 months since the Muslim ban. 1 year since our answers on the census landed us on the registry. 9 months since the first book burning. 6 months since the exclusion laws. 5 months since the Attorney General argued that Grimmett v. United States established precedent for relocation of citizens during times of war. 3 months since they started firing Muslims from public sector jobs. 2 months since a virulent Islamophobe was sworn in as Secretary of War, a cabinet position that hasn't existed since World War II. 1 month since the President of the United States gave a televised speech to Congress to declare that Muslims are a threat to America. I thought our little liberal college town would fight it longer, hold out. Some did fight it. But you'd be surprised how quickly armed military and pepper spray shuts down the well-meaning protests of liberals in small, leafy towns. They're still happening, the protests, turned riots, even if the mainstream media won't cover them. The resistance is alive, they say, but not in my town, and not on the nightly news. Curfew starts in 30 minutes, and this is a stupid risk. My parents will absolutely freak out if they find that I'm not reading in my room. But I need to see David. I force myself to walk calmly, head forward, like I have nothing to hide, even though every muscle in my body shrieks at me to run, to turn back. I'm not technically doing anything wrong, not yet, but if the police stop me, well, let's just say they have an uncanny ability to make technicalities disappear. Breathe. Slow down. If I rush from shadow to shadow, it will attract attention, especially from the new motion-sensitive security cameras positioned at every light. Curfew hasn't started yet and I'm allowed outside right now, but it's already dark, and even here, where almost everyone knows me and my parents, maybe because everyone knows us, my heart races every time I step out of the house. I cross at the light, waiting for the walk signal, even if there are no cars. I spy a flyer for the burning taped around the lamppost at the corner, "Join your neighbors." The words are superimposed on a cascade of banned books, dangerous books. I feel a hard pit in my stomach, but I keep walking, eyes still on the poster, and bump headlong into a woman rushing in the opposite direction. She stumbles and drops her bag. Books and flyers fall to the ground. I bend down to help her pick up her things. Sorry, I wasn't looking where I was going. I try to be polite, deferential. Stay calm, I say to myself. It's not past curfew yet. Don't act guilty. You're not guilty of anything. But these days, actual guilt is an afterthought. The woman keeps her head turned away from me, refusing to meet my gaze, shoveling the books and papers back into her bag. I reach for 2 books and glance at the titles before she grabs them from my fingers. Palace Walk by Naguib Mahfouz. Nameless Saints by Ali Amin, my father. For a split second, she looks me in the eye. I suck in my breath. Mrs. Brown, I'm sorry, my